that they wear something in particular or that they go somewhere in particular or whatever. And all it is just a bunch of racially ambiguous bitches and, you know, big titty, big booty hoes. And I'm not hating because, girl, if I could be out here being an influencer based off of my 3C quality hair and my big butt, I would love to be. Okay. But unfortunately, for me being a brown skinned girl, I am not built like that. But for the girls who are, they were invited by Revolve to the inaugural MDL Beast Festival this year in Saudi Arabia. Now, for many of you who may be wondering, like, what is that and what's going on? The MDL Beast Festival is a festival in which I guess it's really just about electronic music and what have you. So Revolve, they offered 6-figure checks to some of these influencers to go out there for some content creation for the festival. And then this was also in conjunction with rehabilitating the image of Saudi Arabia, the country that is hosting the am I saying this right? MDL Beast Festival. Now, the problem with that is, I'm not sure if you guys know, but Saudi Arabia was basically, given the title as the world's worst humanitarian, having the world's worst humanitarian crisis, according to the United Nations. Following the government's premeditated murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi back in October of 2018. Now, this made news because it was the outing of the gay Saudi journalist and his partner who began receiving death threats from their family. If you're not aware, homosexuality is still a crime in Saudi Arabia and punishable by death. Countless other human rights abuses and a bevy of human rights alarming situations have been taking place in Saudi Arabia for years. So it is alarming to know that Revolve, as well as influencers like Sophia Richie, Jordan Dunn, Scott Disick, Tiana Taylor, Luca Sabat, and Joan Smalls would choose to cash in on a 6-figure check just to get paid, just so that this electronic music festival could look good to everybody. Now, Saudi Arabia has been spending billions of dollars to change their image in the West. But the problem with that is that it is still a crime punishable by death to be homosexual in this country. And it is alarming to me that any of these people would not do their research before collecting said check to be in the know of saying, hey, maybe this isn't something that I should support, especially due to the fact that people are still getting killed amongst other human rights violations that are happening in this country. Is it worth it for me to collect a check knowing that this is happening? You can see further reports of this festival on the Instagram site Diet Prada. That is diet_Prada. It was a little alarming to me, the participation of people like Tiana Taylor, especially somebody who says that she lives for the girls. Well, if you are an LGBTQIA activist, I think it is your due diligence and the part of the people that you surround yourself with business-wise to say that, hey, not every check collected is a check that I should get. Just my opinion. At any rate, Kim Kardashian. Now, you guys know that I love Kim. I do love Kim and the girls. I do. I'm not going to make that a secret. I am thoroughly entertained by their show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which feels like has been on for the past 20 years. I don't I don't know how long the show has been on at this point, but I've always been entertained by them. But I cannot neglect the bevy of, I guess one would say, accusations against cultural appropriations against this family. This week is no different than the rest. So, Kim Kardashian appeared in a photo shoot for 7 Hollywood magazine, where she donned vintage Manfred Thierry Mugler looks and noticeably darker skin. Now, this isn't the first time that the reality star has been accused of cultural appropriation even this year. If you recall, before her underwear line, Skims, had the name Skims, which Azalea Banks says that she's the one who gave them that name, but, whatever. The name before Skims was called Kimono. And she came under fire for that name and promptly issued an apology only after being basically hand-slapped and checked by not only the Asian community, but other people of color, as well as the mayor of Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. And so she changed the name. Amanda Seales, who allegedly will be the new co-host of the Real Talk show, which, side note, I think that is a great look for that show because, quite frankly, that is just not a show that I've ever been able to get into. For whatever reason, the formula that they adopted, which is not much unlike other all-female cast talk shows, The View, The Talk, I don't know. Something about The Real individually, I like some of the co-hosts. I think that it's very one-dimensional in the view that we get from them. I take it that, the Maori sister who is on there is the Meghan McCain of the show. She's kind of the conservative, if you will. And then you have Adrienne Holton, married to gospel singer Israel Holton, formerly of Cheetah Girls and 3LW. You have comic Lonnie Love, who, okay. And then you have Jeannie Mai. Now, Jeannie Mai, I've followed her career for some time. She used to be the co-host on a show on the Lifetime Network. I want to say it's like, it was like basically like a what not to wear show or something like that, which I thought she was really great on. But I do think that in terms of talking about social and political issues, that cast lacked the knowledge and the person behind it to really speak to those issues in a way that resonates with today's audience. So I really hope that this alleged rumor of Amanda Seales taking on the role is true, because I think she will be fantastic on the show. And also I've been hearing rumors of her no longer being on Insecure after the 4th season, which just wrapped. I believe that what I've heard is that will be her last season. So, and there's been a lot of chat about in terms of her and being on the show and how she's gotten along with other people on the show. So at any rate, shout out to her. She weighed in on, Kim's blackfishing, if you will. And Amanda, who had this to say: y'all be praising this shit. That's why she don't care. Someone trying to take your rhythm, but not your blues. Now, I could not agree with Amanda Seales more. Now, here's the thing that is oftentimes, I guess, confusing to me when it comes to Kim Kardashian and And a lot of the things that has happened with her in terms of cultural appropriation is that they have black people around them. Not just the black men that they're fucking, but they've got black women around them, right? But I think that what they don't have around them is anyone who mentally is any different than they are, if that makes any sense. I think that everyone around them who is not having sex with them is also people who probably think like them, and so therefore would not call out the cultural misappropriation, if that makes any sense. If you recall, there was the Bo Derek braids incident where Kim basically said like, oh, yes, and I had these box braids or these cornrows and they're called Bo Derek braids. And then she later came out and said, oh, you know, I know that they're not actually, the origin is not from Bo Derek, but you know, that was my inspiration or whatever the case is. Here's the thing, right? I think that we discuss mindfulness a lot on this show. And mindfulness and consciousness in terms of the things that we do and the things that we say, sometimes it hurts a little bit from the standpoint of most people, especially when your ego is heavily involved, people don't want to be corrected. People don't want to earn that next brainful if it means that when you tell them in loving correction what's going on, the offense will be, oh, so I now will associate the thing that you're saying wrong with you saying that I am wrong. Now, there is a stark difference between shame and guilt. Shame says that I am wrong. Guilt says I've done something wrong. And I think that there is no level of guilt or shame when it comes to the cultural misappropriation on the part of the Kardashian women. And for those of you, in the illustrious words of Amanda Seales, for those of you who will hearken it back to them having black children or them having a black husband or a black baby daddy or a black baby's mother. Here's what I'll say. I recently watched an episode where Kris Jenner's man, Corey Hips Gamble, basically said something to the effect of, you know, if Kourtney's child had scratched me, I would pop her. I would whoop her ass. And this led to Scott Disick, who just collected his 6-figure check for going to the Revolve MDL Beast festival in Saudi Arabia, the same Saudi Arabia that is against homosexuality. Yes, that's Scott Disick. This led to Scott basically blowing up, saying like, oh, you know, you can't beat my kid. If you can never say that about any kid. Now, here's the thing. I don't depend on black men to be the one in these situations to chin check anybody. Because here's what I feel about a lot of black men. I think that there are issues that come with being a black man that as a black woman, I will never understand. However, I will always cape up for you. However, I don't feel like that's necessarily true when it comes to black women and misappropriation of who we are. I don't always feel like black men cape up in these situations. I think that it would be in the part of the black men that they're messing with to say, hey, you know, this is probably not the best look for you. You've got a gaggle of people working around you and no one is there to tell you, hey, something that you're doing could be deemed as being wrong. And I think that that's the real problem. A lot of us have too many people around us who won't say, hey, you know, something that you're doing could be deemed as inappropriate or wrong. And no one's there to check you. And this is just like